75 years in the story of the family as a social institution is very short indeed. And yet, in that time, the pattern of family life in America has undergone radical changes. On a farm in the 1880s, family life followed a pattern which had been characteristic of America from early colonial times. 3 generations of a family lived and worked together. The father was head of the family in the fullest sense of the word. He had the primary economic responsibility for its survival, and he was the final source of authority.
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing. I'm hip. I surf the web. I text. LOL. Laugh out loud. OMG. Oh my God. WTF. Why the face? You know, I know all the dances to High School Musical, so. We're all in this together. Yes, we are. We're all stars. That means something, you know it.
The mother, in addition to her traditional responsibility for the rearing of children, had regular duties, such as the preparing of food.
The next recipe that I want to cook is the tuna noodle casserole. 6 cans of tuna fish. The last 2 cans, I'm sorry y'all, but is it number here? We use a dozen eggs, but you can count it down to 6 eggs, but my family likes a lot of boiled eggs, so it makes them fart better, I guess, pass the gas. Pass the gas, pass the time, that's how my kids think. I hate cleaning up the kitchen, so I always use throwaway aluminum pans to cook in. And I always normally use 1 bowl because even though we got a dishwasher, I don't like a big mess in the kitchen. 10 minutes and the eggs and all be done. That's why I've learned to like chill eggs down pretty fast is put a little bit of cold water in it and what I call blast chill. The hands will freeze off when you get it out in a minute, but that's the best way for me to chill my eggs. And that's pretty much that meal right here. That's it.
Does that need to cook in the oven?
That was pretty good.
Even grandparents fitted into the economic picture. They often lived with the family and participated in the work of the farm.
Joe Francis, who's the creator of Girls Gone Wild, wants Melissa to pose nude for a new project, and I am determined to make that happen. I am going up to Melissa's room now, because she's taking a shower, and I'm going to take some pictures of her in the shower, because I think once she sees how pretty her body is, she will be very glad to accept Joe Francis's offer. Got him.
A date with your family can be a truly special occasion. When the dinner hour at home is treated with a certain amount of graciousness and ceremony, it can be memorable. There is no family so poor but that the evening meal can be eaten in an atmosphere of warmth and gentleness. There is no family so busy but that it can come together in the evening for a dinner date which will give its members something to look back upon with happiness all their days.
Prostitution whore, you are gay 19 times. You bitch.
Resicked like a freaking caged animal at the zoo. I mean, tables need to be thrown at me because I had a book written about me.
Relax. What Teresa did was basically the opposite of what a lady should act like.
It seemed as if families of the past were much closer than families are today. Back then, even big families tried their best to form close bonds. The Phillips family of Brooklyn was one of the biggest families of the 1930s. With 20 children and a single father, they had to find a way to prosper, even with limited resources.
Yes, what would you like to know about my family? My whole name?
Your whole name.
Everett Anthony Phillips. There was 20 children, and I'm number 19. I imagine they had so many children because they were very religious. My mother was a very religious person, and she was dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Most of the sisters are named from the Blessed Mothers. Would be Henrietta, then it would be Everett, and Adrian, and then there would be Lois and Marie, Leonie, Celine and Teresa, Kenny, Natalie, Robinette, Elvira, Isabel, and Dolores. Three of our siblings, the males, had passed away in early life that they called crib deaths in those days, in the 30s.
The loss of those three boys were not the only fatalities the Phillips faced. The mother, Henrietta Phillips, died shortly after giving birth to child number 20.
See, I was 7 when my mother died. Well, then my older sister had to take care of us. Dolores took care of us. And then they all, Elvira was very good to us. Elvira, Isabel, then Rosemary stayed home. Mary took care of us from the age of 16 that I know of, you know, 16, 15. Right. She was very young. Yes. I got along very good with them. Sometimes there was problems, like they would sneak your shoes or something like that.
Used to fight a lot, too.
You know, and we fought. Teresa was a devil. She'd steal your underwear out of the drawer when you had it ready. And my sister Leonie had her wedding slip. All her clothes ready for her wedding. And Teresa went in the drawer and took her slipper.
Where do you fall in the family?
So you want to know where I fall into this family, how I got to be here. I am the daughter of Bernie. Bernie is the oldest son of my grandparents, Henrietta and Bernie Phillips. Mom and Dad met when they were teenagers. They got married. They had me, and they had my sister Ginny. My mom and Dad were 15 and 17 when they started dating. And once my dad said to her, "Would you like to come home and have dinner with us?" And she said, "Sure." He said, "You can help me get the meals prepared." And she said, "Oh, all right." My mother was the youngest, so she wasn't used to preparing meals. She was one of the oldest. Anyway, he came out with this huge pot and 10 pounds of potatoes. And she said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm peeling the potatoes for tonight." She says, "You're eating 10 pounds of potatoes?" He said, "Yes," because they didn't have a lot of meat back then. So they had vegetables. And they made 10 pounds of potatoes when they were making potatoes. My mother said she never saw anything like that in her life. What makes us so unique is the closeness that we've had. You know, they were raised, and it was instilled in them to take care of one another, to look out after one another. Because when their mother died, the older people took over taking care of them. That was instilled in us. It's instilled in me. When my parents got sick, I took care of them because that's what you do. I think it's taking care of one another that makes a family unique. And I feel bad for people who don't have that.
I think we differed because we were a large family. We were very close at the time, and we were self-surviving. We never collected any kind of welfare at that time. My father was a hard worker. He was a milkman. We always had cheese, milk, and butter and stuff like that. Well, my father was Father of the Year. It was around 1940, I guess it was. It was sponsored by a newspaper called the Daily Mirror in that time. And that's how he became Father of the Year, because we're a self-supporting family. We're having so many children. And then we were guests of the World's Fair, 1939 World's Fair. And
the bus came to the house, a big bus, and it had Champagne, Father of the World's Fair. We went to all the pavilions. We saw television before anybody ever had it. We sat inside the World's Fair, and we all had little booths, and we saw where that future, the television, what television was going to be like. We went to the World of Tomorrow, I think the name of it was. Before we went home, they won at the Belgium Pavilion. We were washed out, and he didn't want to go. They didn't want us to go. But we did. Went up to the Belgium Pavilion, and you sat upstairs, and we could see the whole World's Fair like we was there. And I never forgot, I got strawberry ice cream, and I still think about it today. The strawberry ice cream tastes delicious, and that's what we all had because it's recording.
So I think we stay close by the experiences that we have, by the life that we've shared together. We celebrate. The Phillips family celebrates. We celebrate birthdays, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate baptisms, we celebrate weddings. We celebrate together, and I think that's what makes us a strong family. I do have my computer, and every week I send out to the Phillips family my request for prayers for that Friday. Every Friday we take 1 minute at noontime just to pray for one another. I've taken it upon myself to be the one I'm the informer. I let you know who's not feeling well. I let you know who got a promotion. I let you know who's being baptized, who's pregnant. And that's how we share in one another's joy, really. You know, we're connected. We congratulate people. We mention birthdays. We mention graduations. So that everybody from New York to Arizona and to California know what's going on in the Phillips family today because of the internet.
How would you compare your family to the Duggars?
Oh, I don't think there's any comparison with that. I'd rather not even get into it with them.
This is the story of my family. We're the Duggars. That's me. I'm Michelle. There's Jim Bob, my wonderful husband, and our children. Josh is our oldest. He married Anna, and they have our first grandchildren, Mackenzie, Michael, and Marcus. Then there's Jana, John David, Jill, Jessa, Ginger, Joseph, Josiah, Joyanna, Jedediah, Jeremiah, Jason, James, Justin, Jackson, Johanna, Jennifer, Jordan, and our youngest daughter, Josie. If you lost count, that's a grand total of 19, and I delivered every one of them.
Of course, with this many kids, we do things a little differently than most families. It isn't always easy, but somehow we make it all work.
I've been a very big fan of the Duggars for almost 10 years now. I've been following their family and watching all their TV specials even before they had 17 Kids and Counting, now 19 Kids and Counting. I've read all their books and read all their blog articles and, you know, basically that kind of thing. I think they're really popular because they're just so different than what the normal American family is. You know, the average family has 2 or 3 kids, and there they are with 19. And I think it's also really interesting for the public to see a family that has such different values. They plays a very big role in their family. Everything from what they eat, when they go out, how they dress, who they talk to, it all depends on what they've read in the Bible. Recently, Josh Duggar has been found to have molested his sisters, I think 2 of them, and then also 3 family friends.
15 successful seasons for the Duggar family's reality show, 19 Kids and Counting. But the secret is out. Josh Duggar, now 27 and the oldest of the children on the TLC show, had sexually abused several girls when he was a teenager, and his parents didn't report it for some time. In Touch magazine broke the story.
It was a total of 5 victims, and the ages, if you do the math, the ages range probably between 5 and 12 years old.
In Touch magazine obtained the 2006 police report. The magazine reports that Josh Duggar was investigated for multiple sex offenses, including some that were felonies. In Touch found that Jim Bob Duggar, Josh's father, told police he was made aware of it in 2002, when a girl complained Josh, then 14, had been touching her breasts and genitals while she slept. Instead of alerting authorities, though, the magazine says Jim Bob told police Josh had been disciplined. Then it reportedly happened again in 2003. In a statement released Thursday, Josh Duggar said, 12 years ago, as a young teenager, I acted inexcusably, for which I am extremely sorry and deeply regret. I hurt others, including my family and close friends. What Josh Duggar's statement doesn't say is that his parents didn't tell police about what had happened until 1 year after their son had confessed to them. 1 year. And even then, they reportedly alerted an Arkansas state trooper who was also a family friend. That trooper didn't take any official police action. Instead, the magazine says Trooper Joseph Hutchins gave Josh a very stern talk. Hutchins, by the way, is now serving 56 years in prison for child pornography. All of this has fans of the family's hit show reeling. The Duggars are devout Christians. Josh Duggar also worked as the executive director of FRC Action, the lobbying arm of the Family Research Council, a group known for advocating against the rights of the LGBT community. It also has said gays pose a danger to children. Josh also backed his mother's work opposing an ordinance designed to protect transgender people in Arkansas. Michelle Duggar compared transgenders to child predators.
And here her son, most of the family knew what he had done in his past. So yeah, it's hypocrisy.
Josh Duggar stepped down from the Family Research Council Thursday, and TLC pulled 19 Kids and Counting from the TV schedule.
I felt very let down, and I felt very betrayed. I mean, I put so much faith in these people for years, and I thought that they all had very pure hearts and that they would never do something like that, and there he is doing such a horrible crime. I think people will still be very interested in their daughters and the weddings and all the children they'll have, but I think America's pretty much done with Josh Duggar now and his parents. I don't necessarily know if it was the size of the family that made the scandal inevitable, but I think it's almost the parents' teachings that kind of made it inevitable. You know, he was so repressed, he couldn't see women, talk to women, and I think that kind of warped his whole view on healthy sexual relations. And also, they didn't have any sort of sex ed or anything like that in their house, and I think that kind of skewed his reasonings. Actually, there are a lot of other big families out there that are thriving. There's the Bates family. They also have 19 children, and they're good friends with the Duggars. They have a different religion than the Duggars. The Duggars are born-again Christian, and the Bates are Baptist, so they are a little bit different. But their 19 children seem to be doing very well, and you know, they seem to have a little bit more of a healthy relationship with each other than the Duggars do. I think when you have family that's that big, you tend to take a lot of pride in it, and you want to nurture it and keep everybody as happy and as together as they could be.
The Duggar and the Bates family both have strong parental role models who present a united front on raising their children. And even though Bernard Phillips was a single father, he could rely on his oldest children to help look after and nurture the young ones. I would imagine one of the hardest things to do would have to be raising a child without a strong support system.
My name's Angela Desposito, and I have a 3.5-year-old daughter named Gabriella, and I'm a single mom. I would say around the time that I was 5 months pregnant, I learned my daughter's father was cheating on me. And then throughout the relationship, there was a lot of different situations that went on, but the most toxic of them all was just the abuse. He was verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, and then eventually it led into him being physically abusive to me. Okay, so how important faith is to me? It's very important. In life you go through trials and tribulations, but I never thought that I would be a victim of abuse. You know, faith is probably, besides my daughter, the second thing that got me through it, because number one, my father was never an abusive man. My father played a pivotal part in our lives, although he worked 2 jobs in raising myself and my 2 sisters. He's just a really great father, and he's raised 3 amazing daughters, and he's always really been my biggest supporter. You know, he's about family and respect. So, and those are some of the values that I try to, you know, give to my daughter, you know, teach her. I had her, you know, later on in life. I had her around the time I turned 39. So I never thought I was going to have children, or it wasn't really something that I was thinking about. I mean, I always wanted children, but I'm very traditional in my values. I wanted to be married or, you know, be in a committed relationship as I was getting older. It's just changed me in so many ways. I mean, I never thought I could love somebody as much as I love her. I mean, I would take a bullet in the head 20 times for her. But you learn to become not self-absorbed. It's not about you anymore. It's about her. You learn that every decision that you make, I mean, whatever decision it is, whether it's with your career or what you're doing with your health or you know, how you're living your life, she's watching you, she's mimicking you, and you have to be a good role model. You know, nobody's perfect. You know, God knows I'm not perfect, but you have to make wise decisions because everything that you do has a direct impact on her. And being a single mother, making the decisions that I make she's always, you know, been a vital, obviously, part in those decisions. You know, you could choose to stay in a relationship because you're afraid to leave, or you say to yourself, I have to leave because it's having a negative impact on my child. You make that decision, as scary as it is. When you're living on your own and living a single life, you know, you would never think about. Those are the things that have changed me, and I see that that has changed me. And being a mom has just changed me as a person. You know, I look at people differently. I don't make a big deal out of things that really aren't worth making a big deal about. And I try and teach her right from wrong, and I try and teach her good values as best as I can. I carried this child with me for 9 months, and the love I have for her, there's no words to describe it. Watching her grow, I mean, you know, 1 minute she was a baby just nuzzled in my neck, and now she's, you know, a little girl, and you know, she's doing her own thing, and she's got her own thing going, and I you know, that's me raising her, you know, and that's an amazing feeling. I mean, there's no job, there's no award, there's no amount of money that could compare to being a mom and raising a bright, healthy, articulate, princess singing 3.5-year-old. Removing her from a toxic environment, removing her from an abusive home, and removing her from all that she has seen in 3.5 years, that is the first example of having to put her first. I could have stayed, I'm sure, but I couldn't watch how it was affecting her, and I was scared, and I didn't know if I could do it. But removing her from it and being here and knowing that we have peace and we have love and it's a good environment and I'm doing it on my own, nobody can take it away from me. You know, to me, that's priceless.
Family values are not what they used to be. Between overscheduled children, the distractions of technology, and the scarcity of a traditional family dinner, it's no wonder so many families are struggling. However, regardless of this, there are still families out there who take the time to make love and respect a part of their daily lives. Like the Phillips family, who defies the odds by keeping such a large family so tight-knit. Or the Bates family, who is able to show that a conservative family lifestyle is still possible and can even be positive, even in the wake of the Duggar scandal. Lastly, families like Angela and Gabriella, who were able to escape a toxic environment and are now thriving on their own. These families use their faith in God and love and respect for each other to make the best out of bad situations and live a happy and healthy life.